I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item of the agenda is need a motion to accept the election results as presented.
I make a motion to approve the election results.
Second.
Second.
Okay, then we call this meeting adjourned.
Do all in favor?
Oh, all in favor? Yes, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Gavel. All right, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
We are so moved. We are adjourned.
I'll vote.
Right.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed?
So, God, sorry, we have the newbie up here tonight. Right, so we are now adjourned. Time for the oath of office of the newly elected officials, which would be Dolores and I. Is Vicky?
And Vicky. Come on up, Vicky.
Oh, come on up, Vicky.
Yeah, if you guys want to come up here and face the audience. Just a little bit.
Kim?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so you all want to raise your right hand and then
You want to step out of the way of the photo? There you go.
okay. And repeat after me. So I, and state your name,
I, Ash Gears,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
the Constitution of the State of Missouri,
and the ordinances of the City of Hermann.
and the ordinances of the City of Hermann.
I possess all qualifications prescribed
I possess all qualifications prescribed
for said office, that I will faithfully demean myself
for said office, that I will faithfully demean myself
in the office of,
In the
office
office
of
of
Ward
City
2 Alderman,
Collector,
for which I was elected on
for which I was
For-
elected on
which I was elected on
the 7th day of April 2026.
7th day of April 2026.
Okay, you good?
Is there a so help me God in there?
There is not.
No.
Oh, there usually is. Congratulations, everybody. Want to sign that? That'd be perfect.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
Actually, before you sit down, do you just want to do that?
Yeah, sure, let's do this. Carol, would you join me up front? It's a pleasure. Today we are giving a proclamation for Carol Schloo, that has faithfully served as city collector of the city of Hermann for the period of April 5th, 2016 through April 13th of 2026. And whereas she previously dedicated 17 years of service to the city in the roles of clerk typist and accounting clerk, and throughout her long tenure in public service, Carol Schloo has exemplified dedication and commitment to the residents of Hermann, giving of her time and talents well beyond the call of duty. And her extensive institutional knowledge and responsible stewardship of public funds has contributed significantly to the efficient and transparent functioning of city government. And the Mayor and Board of Aldermen of the City of Hermann, Missouri desires to and hereby does express the appreciation of such board and citizens of said city to Carol Schloo for her years in public service. It is hereby proclaimed by the Mayor of the Board of Aldermen and the City of Hermann, Missouri, on behalf of the Board of Aldermen and other officials and citizens of the City of Hermann, that a public expression of appreciation shall be and hereby is given this day to Carol Schloo. Be it further proclaimed that the original of this proclamation be presented to her in recognition of the esteem in which she is held. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused to be affixed the seal of the city of Hermann, Hermann, Missouri, this 13th day of April, 2026.
Thank you very much.
All right. We will now call the meeting to order with the newly elected officials. I would like to entertain a motion to elect the president of the Board of Aldermen.
I nominate Dolores Granite.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Dolores Graham will be the new president of the Board of Aldermen.
She takes over.
Yeah. Yeah, now you have to take over the meeting.
Go for it.
Oh.
Congratulations. Okay.
Got you out of seat, huh?
You didn't tell me that before. You didn't say that.
I didn't know that.
Sure.
I've been here before.
Yeah. Okay, first order of business would be, since we have called the meeting to order, President, Board of Aldermen, the mayor's report. Well, I do not have a report, not knowing I was supposed to be here. I can't think of anything right now that's coming to mind. So we will go to the city administrator's report.
Thank you. Right on cue. Mayor Bruce Cox did ask me to acknowledge Chief Walker, who just finished command college, and wanted to congratulate him on a job well done. We will make a bigger deal of it at the next meeting when the mayor is back. But congratulations, Chief.
Thank you.
Just a couple things. The other thing that we can report on is Chief and I received confirmation that our application was approved to become a Missouri Blue Shield community. That was that program Governor Kehoe started last year, and we just had to meet some criteria regarding efforts to reduce crime, strengthen public safety, special recruitment efforts, and we've become eligible for a $50,000 grant. So Chief will start working on that and delineating the items that he would like to request reimbursement for, but he thinks it'll be some communications equipment for the officers, reviews and repeaters and things like that. So that is fantastic. Monthly sales tax, I can still report that that is good. It is holding at 1% above last year to date, just like I reported last month, so I'm happy about that. And lodging tax is the same. It's $400 over last year to date. So I think that is shaking out pretty well. And after having two really high natural gas bills back to back because of the winter storm Fern, you'll see a decrease on this next bill and then a significant decrease on the following bill. And it's expected to stay at that low rate for several months. And I have been in communication with the 911 director, and he has confirmed to me that the 911 board approved our request for a contract rate change, and I will have that for you at the next meeting. I'm obviously still working on the 26-27 budget, and we will, maybe at the next meeting, we'll schedule another budget workshop and get that on the calendar. And just to keep you up to date on one of the bills that we're watching in particular, is the one that requires municipalities, would require municipalities to pay for moving the cable and the broadband utilities in the city's right-of-way. It's Senate Bill 1065. So as of Friday, it has been put on the Senate calendar and it could be brought up for a vote at any time. And MML is continuing to meet with individual senators to discuss the impact that would have on cities. And they even pulled together a group of public works directors and had them meet with the bill's sponsor to explain additionally how cities work with these broadband corporations and the difficulties we've faced with that. And so MML is working really, really hard on opposing that bill.
Opposing the bill. correct?
Opposing it.
Okay.
Yeah. And we will start advertising this shortly, and that is our very popular large trash pickup day, the curbside one. That is the first Saturday in May, which this year will be May 2nd. And that is all I have.
Okay, thank you, Trish.
You're welcome.
And congratulations, Marlon, for completing that class. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm sure it's helped our community or will help it. And thanks again for the work on the grant that you had submitted and we get. I'm sure that will really come in handy for your department.
Yes.
Correct.
Used.
Fantastic, thank you very much. Next item is the Public Works Director.
Jesse, I moved it out for the photo, but you are welcome to put it back up.
The street departments continue to work on the trim grant, doing some tree removals. They repaired a cutout at Gutenberg and First Street from the sinkhole that had developed. Lots of mowing and weed eating with the rain that's been going on, and obviously the springtime's hit, so they're in full swing on that. Today they patched the asphalt between 4th and 5th Street for the water services that had been connected along Schiller. They're patching potholes when time allows, and they poured a small concrete patch on the 100 block of East 2nd. On the gas side, the guys they put in a new service for one of their northernmost customers off the distribution main. Jason and I have been attending several meetings for the gas line relocation at the Spade project near New Florence. That project is in full swing now. They've been cutting off some old service lines for demolition projects, and then also planning some new service lines for new construction that's going on. The water department worked on Schiller Street. They got some good progress last week. They made a main connection off of First Street Alley into the new Schiller Street main. And then they also got a couple more services done this week. They will be focusing on finishing up the couple of remaining service lines and then trying to get the water main tie-ins complete. The sewer side, the guys were able to get the UV system up and running ahead of the deadline for the recreational season. Our first weekly sample for the lagoon outflow came back and we were in compliance. KJU began work on the point repairs that we approved a few weeks ago. They started that today, and in typical Hermann fashion, the first project they started, we found a pretty sizable snag. I'm going to be going back with the engineer to look at that. Basically, the line itself had been, I guess, previously broke in that location that we were unaware of, and it was kind of cobbled back together instead of done correctly, so the scope of the work could be sizably different. If it is substantially more expensive, I'll probably just cut that particular point repair out of the project for now, and then we'll wait until we start getting a little bit more of that other bond money coming in, and we'll address it then.
Where was this located?
This is the one it'd be just east of Bowles Storage. There's that little ditch that runs through there, and there's a crossing. We thought all we had was a kind of a mislocated offset in the pipe, but it turns out there's a whole section of pipe that was replaced and it's not in line, and it kind of looks like they used water main clamps maybe to fix it that didn't fit the pipe correctly, and anyway, the angles don't align.
So this is different than what you found earlier?
Well, it's part of the same thing, but we obviously, without having it all exposed, and they had concrete poured over it, so they had to break all that out today. But if the scope gets to be something that's out of our current budget situation, we'll just kick that down the road until we get, it's not an immediate safety hazard. It's just something that needs to be addressed. So we'll kind of put that on the back burner if that's the case. And I want the engineer to look at it and kind of get his thoughts. So that's kind of where we're at on that. On the electric side, the electric crew has been working on the ballpark lighting primary. They assisted the park with the failure of a sump pump for the main ballpark pump pit. Last week they assisted the street department with the removal of a trim grant tree, and Bob has been grinding stumps as time allows for all those trim grant trees. And then on the park side, the ballpark lighting is currently at a standstill. They've found that the soil isn't firm enough, I guess, for these poles, and we're waiting on engineering to figure out what to do in that situation.
Our engineer or the state?
Ours. So they're gonna do some
Are you gonna
geotech.
put this high priority so because of the
Well, so
grant?
I actually talked to Vicki this evening, and she's gonna try to get an extension file right away tomorrow. That way we can get that process started in case we would have to go over. That ball's already rolling. As I know more, I'll pass that on. But obviously the engineering company knows we've got deadlines, so I'm hoping that we get this remedied sooner than later. And that's all the great news that I have.
And when were you gonna finish the Schiller Street water
So
lines?
they're gonna work on that this week with the services. They're gonna knock the remaining couple services they have left right now. They're gonna do that, I think, tomorrow. And then after that, they'll start, I think we've got 2 more street tie-ins that we have to do. So,
Okay, so that's not gonna hold up our,
no.
when is MB West going to start on?
So right now, the
streets?
subcontractor for MB West that's doing the storm work is waiting on lead times for the stormwater structures. The stormwater company that we used to use has recently been bought out. So now they're going through a different company that acquired this company. And of course, now that those companies have, because they just shut the one plant down, they didn't keep both plants open, lead times, of course, went up. So they're thinking, I think it was mid-May is when they'll probably start the projects.
Are we gonna be seeing any change order in this project because it was bid before?
I don't think so.
The,
The only
increase?
change that I could see being made, and that would be more because that's kind of written into these contracts, is the asphalt itself. Because of the volatility of oil, there's always price on asphalt adjustments. But I don't think that we're gonna see any cost increases on the stormwater structures themselves. It's just hurt the lead times.
But on the NB West, the total cost of them putting asphalt down,
So
that's going to change.
Well, I mean, with asphalt prices, I would anticipate it's going to. I mean, I have a hard time, because when they bid it, it was before oil went up. So I'd be shocked if we don't, if I'm honest. But that's,
So they're gonna come through for a change order?
well, I don't know if they'll have to on that, because usually those contracts, if I remember right, they're written in for price per ton of asphalt. So they've got a contract adjustment in there, I believe. I'd have to do some looking on it, but usually it's per ton. They bid it per ton, and I think they've got an adjustment clause in there. But we can check into that.
Okay.
But yes, I would anticipate that the price for the asphalt itself is more than likely gonna be higher than the original bid.
And when are they going to start on their projects?
Like I say, they're looking at probably the middle of May right now, because they want to get all the storm work done prior to the asphalt guys rolling in here, because they want to roll in and roll out. They don't want to bring equipment back and forth 3 or 4 times if they can avoid it. So they'll get all the curb and gutter and all the storm work knocked out on all those streets first, and then MB West will come back in and they'll lay all the asphalt in kind of one shot when they're here.
And so to be clear, Schiller will not be done in time for YFest.
Yeah, and we've told them from the get-go that we either want it done before MyFest or not started before MyFest. We don't want it in the middle of MyFest. So I anticipate that Schiller might be the last project they do, but a lot of that's going to depend on timing. If we get to the point where we're past MyFest and everything's ready to roll, we may move that up too.
Okay, anybody have any questions?
Notice by the city pond on the southeast side, that light is flickering like a candle.
So they're all doing that, and I don't know, we've got a special photo line there, all of them on that circuit, every morning it does it.
Yeah, in the morning.
And it's a time delayed photo cell, so I don't know if there's something going on in that time delay, but that's like a special order photo line. I've got one coming from Annixter.
Okay. Thank you, Jesse.
Mhm.
Appreciate it. And I'm gonna go back here to ask Trish a couple questions. There are new requirements for the ADA. Are we working on what they,
Are you talking about the website requirements?
yes, and all
I
the
passed,
records that we have?
right, I tapped Rob to start looking into what we might need to do for our website, and we have a whole year. Cities that are less than 50,000 in population don't have to be compliant until April 27.
Right, but we're doing something, we're checking into it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what happens when a complaint comes into the city hall regarding a guest house? Where does that complaint go from?
Well,
If somebody calls and said, there's 5 cars parking everywhere and I can't park in
right.
front of my house or
Um,
wherever.
One of the
What
ladies might
happens?
transfer it to Kelsey if Bob's not in the building, and then Kelsey would get that complaint to Bob.
So those go on in their file, in that guest house file? So when
They
they
should
come up
be.
for renewal,
Yeah,
we know they had 3 or 4 complaints regarding noise and what have you?
Kelsey?
I mean, I haven't gotten any, but I mean, they should be going in there. Well, I mean, that's what I'm gonna be doing anyway, but.
Are we talking about commercially zoned guest
I am
houses? Or are we
talking any
about-
guest house, if someone calls about a guest house, I don't care where it's at, I don't care if it's in commercial, residential, if they have a problem with people at 3 o'clock in the morning having really loud music, I would think they would call the police department. I don't know if they wait until the next day and then call the city hall. I was just wondering what happens to that complaint.
When I was in
for that
charge of it
guest
years
house.
ago, I was printing off those emails and things and putting them in the file. I think Corey was doing the same thing, and so I think we're following the same protocol. And of course, we always check with chief before, when they come up for renewal. And then
So-
you would have anything that was in the file, because you pull that file every year.
So if they come up for renewals, then is that information given to the Board of Aldermen that they had 3 complaints or 5 complaints?
There would be, but like Kelsey said, I don't think you've had any since you've been doing this, have you?
I have not.
And nothing fresh that was in the file that was worthy
No.
for that year to.
No, I mean, even in the last couple of years, because it's all in one file, there hasn't been, like, when Corey was checking on them, like, he'll print off the email from chief or whoever, when he does, or when we do the renewal checks, and they've come back with no complaints or anything. But any, like, email correspondence between, the actual owner or anything, or if a person was making a complaint, like, all of that communication usually goes in the file.
Okay, I was just curious. And then, is there any reason why we are not investing more in a CD than we have been?
I'd have to consult with Tammy Ellis. She is keeping track of that for us. If there's something particular that you want to see, you let us know.
Well, right now you have, in looking at the records, you have, what is it? 1,500,000 in the 7/8 cent sales tax. The contract was only for 770 some. Even with a change order, I would have thought we could have taken some of that million and invested in a, and I know you're only probably gonna get 3% or whatever.
down, yeah.
It's better than the 1.4 or 5 or 8 that you're
Well, we'll
getting
take a look
at.
at it and talk to Jesse and see how fluid that is, because we haven't paid out for this year's yet, you know, and then, so we'll take a
What
look at it.
contracts do you have for this year that you don't?
The one we haven't paid out yet for the spring projects?
The one we just bid for 770 some.
Right. But yeah, we can take a look at that.
I'd appreciate it if, and there's some other accounts that I would have thought we could have at least made a couple more CDs, make a little more interest. And I know you get interest on them in the checking account, but I would think you could make a little better.
We'll take a
I'd
look at that for
appreciate
you.
it. Okay, the next item of business, thank you Trish, appreciate it, is the public comments. I guess I have no public comments. And the old business we have is Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation regarding, I think it was Brian Jett's recommendation that he went to the Board of Aldermen and it was passed on to the Planning and Zoning Board. They reviewed it and rejected the request. So that is where and you should have the minutes from the P&Z.
Was there any discussion within the P&Z about why they rejected it, or maybe future plans of relooking at it?
There was a lot of discussion.
I think there was probably about 24 citizens there. Maybe 2 was in favor, the rest were against it. And the board, the P&Z actually took a vote before the citizens vote, and it was unanimous vote to decline the request.
We didn't think it would benefit the city as a whole. And we talked about like just having sections of the historic district, but that.
Yeah, I was just curious if there was anything in particular on any particular merit that was, a hard
We just
no.
didn't think it would benefit, I guess, the community in any great way. So
Right.
now if somebody can, I guess, come up with another.
I wasn't in favor of
Plan.
if it one way or another. I was just curious about the discussion.
I think they talked about, I know I mentioned it, there were potential 24 to 30 current residents where people live, that with that ordinance would come about, potential losing those
Affected them.
to guest houses. And I would make the motion that the board goes
Do
along
we
with.
have to make a motion?
I don't think we,
Oh,
okay.
I think this
It's
is
just
more or less
nice.
FYI for the board.
yeah.
There's not really anything left to do, in my opinion.
I agree.
I don't necessarily think we should, yeah, this is just reporting on what happened at the P&Z.
Right.
I think for longer term, I think it is something that we all need to be brainstorming and, coming up with perhaps a solution that is best for the city of Herman.
In what way, Ash? What are we looking for?
There is merit to, recommendations that others have made about, looking at the historical downtown district, specifically that section of town, to look at, turning that, rezoning to, commercial or a mixed use. We don't have to stick with our current zoning. I mean, we can come up with hybrids. There's possibilities, not that I can think of any on the top of my head, but that, something could be thought of that would benefit, everyone.
You can have a home occupation in R1 and R2 and R3.
Right.
So Jeff was going to look in, Jeff Schmidt was going to look into possibly a overlay of something to add, I guess allow different business, but I don't understand. He'd have to explain that to me, because to me, they're commercial right now. But he was talking about the people who are residential in the commercial area.
Like
That they
light
could-
use, commercial,
Yeah,
perhaps, something,
Right.
yeah.
But that's, I thought he was working on it, so I will double check. And if you have any suggestions, let us know. I think Dave said St. Charles had quite a,
Well, Washington or St. Charles or Augusta or St. Genevieve or Barnhart, or those places where they're
a lot of,
where they have a riverfront, or where they have sort of an older historic downtown section. I think you'll find more examples of mixed use, and where, I think it has been a struggle the last 20 years that I've been here, that we're either R1, R2, or 3,
Yeah.
or commercial, and it's the jump to Hardee's, or
It's a big jump.
a convenience store or something like that. And so, but that, somebody, I guess, it would typically start at planning and zoning, and with the initiative to discuss that and propose something, and maybe that'll come out of Jeff's
yeah.
research.
I'll talk to him again and see if there's anything that he can come up with something, possibly.
I missed the last one. I really wanted to be to it, but I missed it. I wanted to hear their input.
Well, you can call any of them.
Hmm?
You can call them and ask them.
I can do that too.
The next item of business is a new business, which apparently is the Chamber's request for fireworks launch location. I think you have something in your packet. And is this where the fire company is recommending, or the fireworks company is recommending? Trish?
Maybe invite Melissa Lindsay from the chamber to come up and answer questions?
Do I have to come up?
Well,
She's kind of
no,
hobbled.
You don't have to.
Okay, I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah, so, yes, so the chamber has lost their longtime launch site across the river. And so are put in a position and need to find a new one. And the riverfront was actually recommended by the professional fireworks company.
Yes.
And they submitted this diagram that's in your binders. And they say that on the boat ramp there would be a good launch site, and you can see where the red circle is the fallout zone. So the concern there would be keeping people out of the lower parking lot. We did suggest to them the other end of the riverfront park, the grassy end on the east. They said that could potentially be a backup site. They were a little concerned that the trees there would give them just the bare minimum clearance that they needed to shoot the fireworks off. But if the boat ramp were flooded, that is definitely a potential.
Is this the only possible site that they came up with?
That's the only one that we have identified, and it's the only one that they are saying would work for their parameters, yes. So to say that that's the only possibility in the area, no, but that's where we are today. and we're counting down. So we gotta pick a path.
Does this affect the schedule at all?
No, we would still be doing it on Friday the 3rd.
Friday the 3rd?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And it still allows the community to gather at the riverfront park like they're
It
accustomed to.
still is a neat atmosphere to be at the riverfront, you know, it's a way to kind of keep that, where that everybody's used to that area for the launch.
How long do they need to set up? Like, how long would we need to keep that lower boat ramp and area closed off?
So Tricia, correct me if I'm wrong, because I think I forwarded you that email from them. Ideally, they would like to have that closed off all day, but if we needed to keep the boat ramp open, that they could work with the boat ramp. They just don't want any cars parking in there while they're setting up for the show. So if boats needed to come and go, they could work with that, but no, absolutely no parking down there.
Right.
That was the latest on that.
That was kind of a question I had. I knew from an email was concerned around the boat ramp, if that was city's boat ramp or the Corps of Engineer.
It's a city.
Melissa,
The
you were
Corps-
still getting permission
yeah,
from the Corps.
Yes, the Corps has this plan, and they have not told me no yet. So
That's great.
as far as I know, we're in good shape there.
And their red perimeter, why is it more to the north?
The ramp that they would set up on, that pier kind of, is already at an angle, but they have the ability to go up to a 20-degree angle to actually angle it out over the
river.
water. So that's why that makes that circle go further out over the water.
Since this is, the Riverfront Park is under the Park Board Authority, have they been given approval?
No, we thought we'd start with you all because you all will actually have to give permission to give them a waiver to shoot off fireworks in the city limits at all. So I thought we better start with you.
And what type of liability insurance does this company have?
Yeah,
Is the
they
city
have-
gonna be held
You know,
harmless?
Irma has, people shoot off fireworks in cities all over the place, and they just have to be an independent fireworks operator, of course, with their licensing and everything, signed to hold harmless and provide a certificate of insurance. So, and meet our MIRMA parameters for insurance liability coverage.
So what is their coverage?
Um,
10,000, 20, 30, 50?
I don't
100?
know at the top of my, I don't have that in front of me. They have to cover, the MIRMA's requirements are $1 million
I was gonna say
and then
that.
2 million aggregate.
The JC's is $1 million, I know.
Yeah, I was thinking that was $1 million,
Mhm.
but I don't have that document in front of me either, so.
So if the ambers go to the south, there could be a problem with the buildings catching on fire.
Well,
But I mean,
Well, I'm just,
I know, playing devil's advocate.
You got the old bait house down there.
Do they even use that anymore?
no, it's
Yes,
rented
they
out,
do.
somebody else. On this report we
Yeah,
have
has
here,
Chief seen this too? He has.
They're shooting it north.
Is it gonna affect traffic on the bridge or anything?
It shouldn't. And they're also lowering, so like for instance, across the river, they were using 6-inch shells, which go, I don't know what the height of it is. And they would actually come down to 4-inch shells for the display there on our side. So,
Okay.
so they're taking into account the proximity
They're just not changing
of where they
location.
would be, yes, because they do know that they're closer to the crowd and closer to the buildings.
on the information we have here, Trish, it says, it looks like the date, and Chad just reminded me to look, it has the 5th of July,
I
at
was
9:30.
gonna ask that too. Is it the 3rd or is it
So
the
is it
5th?
the 5th or the 3rd?
No, it's the 3rd.
It is the
Friday
3rd.
the 3rd, yes. Last year we had it on the 5th.
so was that the fireworks company that submitted this diagram?
Yes,
They just
sorry,
did-
is that what it says on there?
Yes.
Okay. That is incorrect.
So is there going to be a problem with the boaters who use that area to park? during this time?
Yeah, that's what she was just explaining, that they can't park down there. They can have access to the boat ramp, but they can't park down there.
They would just have to park up the
So-
upper.
And then be gone by the evening,
There's,
yeah.
the people sit on the upper park,
Right.
so they won't be able
No, they
to
can't park there.
park in there.
And we'd have to
Work
create a,
Going to be
sorry, chief?
full.
I'm saying if they can't park their boats down there with the trailers, if they park up top where people, we block it off for people to sit, then there's gonna be a
Right.
conflict. Also trying to figure out where they can park their stuff at.
Or they just have to get off the river at a certain time or something.
Were there a lot of people parked there, do you remember,
With the boats,
with the boats? I thought there were quite a few.
I mean, it varies year to year, it just depends on the weather, how hot it is, and how they get out on the river, really. Because most of them know once they're down there, they're there till the show's over with. We won't let them leave until it's done and safe for everybody to leave.
I want to say there's only 8 or 10 trailer parking areas down there.
I mean, in my opinion, this is the greater good of the city of Hermann, you know, the celebration and everyone looks forward to the fireworks. I don't want to disappoint the whole community over 3 or 4 people who want to use the boat ramp, and there are accesses, you know, in other places. I personally, I would say just no boating activity on launching on the 3rd.
Okay, I guess we're gonna have to have a motion. We're just going to bypass the park board?
Well, you could, because I think technically that boat ramp is in the park, isn't part of the parks, you know. It's up to you, you're on the park board, you tell us. You're the liaison. Maybe you make that decision.
Not for the park board, I won't. Well, I don't think they're gonna be against it, to be very honest with you.
They will be able to park on the east side down there by the restroom, the pavilion down that way, the citizen spectators, or is it all gonna be closed off?
Do you
We
shut that
always
off?
block that off. We don't let-
That's always closed.
That's always blocked
We don't let
off.
any parking down there.
Right.
So we can block that off.
We let
Early.
people park in the handicap spots, but anything at the bathrooms going east is all shut down.
If Ash made a motion, I'll second it.
I mean, I'll turn that into a motion that we temporarily close boat access on the 3rd in lieu of the fireworks display.
And you're authorizing them to, and you're allowing them to have the fireworks?
Within the city limits of Hermann, correct. I mean, I guess halfway on across the Missouri River is the actual city limits of Hermann, correct?
Yeah.
Even though it's not really, the Corps of Engineer owns that boat ramp, I mean, they're
Right.
still technically shooting them off within the city limits, correct?
I don't know, they're over the river, I'm not sure.
I will also put that in the motion too, that we're allowing the professional company to, only the professional company to shoot the fireworks at this particular Freedom Fest display.
Since there's an ordinance, do we have to have another ordinance to say they can shoot
Since there's an
fireworks?
ordinance that
Against
says,
shooting fireworks in the city limits?
no.
Okay. Just
So we,
check.
that's Astro Magic FX is the name of the company.
I would assume so. Right. Astro Magic FX is the name of the company.
Correct.
They alone would be authorized to discharge fireworks in the city park area by the park boat ramp.
On the boat ramp, on the ramp, not the boat ramp, on the fishing ramp. Okay,
On July the 3rd
on July the 3rd.
at 9:30.
I will second what, the collaborative motion that we've set in place. Put a dot on that.
Someone made it, someone.
You got that,
Okay.
Kelsey?
Yep,
All right.
I got it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to allow the fireworks to be on the ramp. It's not the boat ramp, it's just a ramp at the Riverfront Park, and it can only be the licensed fire company that have license to do this work.
Ask for
And it-
magic effects.
Yeah. And it will be on Friday, the July the 3rd. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We don't have to do anything else, right? Dave, because of the ordinance, since we have a motion.
I agree with that. You don't have to do anything else.
And no boats, Kelsey, no boats? Okay. The next item of business would be ordinance. And these are
Right.
2 new ordinances that we have.
First is bill number 2026-12, an ordinance to approve a construction and reimbursement agreement for pipeline relocation down between Spade Property Owner LLC and the city of Hermann, Missouri. And so this ordinance and the next one sort of work together or go hand in hand. And there's a developer who either has a contract to buy or who owns a property in Montgomery County on a big piece of property where the pipeline runs across it. And according to their site plan, the pipeline needs to be moved. And so they have come to the city with the request that it be moved. And so there have been lots of negotiations and back and forth and such with this developer. And USDI, that's the next ordinance, is an ordinance to approve a contract with USDI, who would actually be the contractor that would do the work. And so the way it was structured is that the city would contract with USDI to do the work, and then the developer would reimburse or pay the city. The city would be sort of a flow-through entity that would just pass the money on to USDI. It was discussed at length, why doesn't USDI just contract directly with the developer to take the city out of the middle? USDI said it's their policy, and I really don't disagree with it, that when they work on pipelines, they want to contract with the party that owns the pipeline. And so that put us in the position of needing to have a pretty tight agreement with the developer for payment provisions, which we have. They submitted one that was not very good, and then we submitted a counter proposal with many pro-city provisions in it, and they bought most of them, if not all of them, including a provision that they're simply going to pay the city a fee of $25,000 just because this has taken some of my time, and it's taken Trish's time, and a load of Jesse's time. And we don't care if the pipeline gets moved. They're the ones that want it moved. And so we're using our staff to try to facilitate all this. So we should get a fee for that. So that's in here.
Is 25,000 enough?
I don't know, Jesse, how many hours you got in it?
So far, I would say we're doing just fine. I mean, I don't know how much you make, Dave, and I'm not gonna ask.
That's more than half what I typically bill the city in a year for
I
everything. so-
probably, realistically, I probably have, let's say 5 full days in it right now. And after this week, I'll probably have a full day in it tomorrow. And then after that, we'll be pretty well done with it, other than just, running up there to check on progress every so often with USDI. We won't have a whole lot more involvement after this week. It's more or less gonna be USDI, unless something changes and there's provisions for change orders and things like that in there.
And USDI has done the engineering for this project, correct?
Correct.
So have we paid them, and have we been reimbursed for that
Yes,
cost?
yeah.
For the 93,000?
I don't think they've spent all, well, no, they haven't billed out all that yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so if, I'm just going back to that question, if I had $5,000 of time in it, which is probably a generous estimate, and you bill Jesse out at $100 an hour, that'd be 200 hours of his time. So, yeah, I think it helps you out.
Okay, I'm just,
No, it's fair. I mean, I kind of did that in my head
Hanging
and
up
picking
there.
a number, but they agreed to it.
so in your recommendation, these two ordinances are, okay,
Correct.
the city is not going to be liable or responsible for any of the,
I can't guarantee we won't end up in court, but the contracts say what the city needs them to say.
okay. Well, that's what, just as long as we're covering the city.
Right.
Does anybody have any other questions? And Jesse, you've looked at these plans and what have you?
Yes.
So are they moving the gas line or just replacing it?
So they're moving it to the west of where it is currently. So we'll kind of come from where we get off of MoDOT right away, just south of I-70. We'll 45 across that field, probably, it might not be a 45, it might be a 30, I don't know, but we angle across the north end of that field, and then we kind of parallel Old 19. If you guys know where the Old 19 road is there, goes by the MoDOT building. We kind of parallel that, and then we 90 degree at the end of their property, and we tie back in at that point.
So do we need easements or do we have easements for this new
So
line?
the easements were all part of it, they were all part of this deal.
It's all part of this
So,
deal.
We've got a 25-foot easement, and then Sunoco is going to be paralleling us because their pipeline is right there as well. They're doing the same thing we are.
Okay.
We're abandoning the current easement and they are giving us a new easement for where it needs to go.
And one kind of nice thing about this, obviously, you know, when we did just that little job over at Blue Island Cemetery, I kind of talked to you guys about going to 8-inch pipe that matches what goes under the Missouri River. This is gonna be that same 8-inch pipe, so we're getting an upgraded pipe and we're replacing a little over a mile of pipeline, so it's actually kind of a good deal for us.
And it won't affect the gas that we're going to be receiving on this?
No,
end?
it's all gonna be hot tapped, we won't be without flow. I mean, unless something catastrophic happens, which hopefully doesn't. As the plans go, we will not be out of gas.
Okay,
Okay, I make a motion to approve bill number 2026-12.
the motion, you have a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to place bill number 2026-12 in its first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
They would like a second reading as these are already about a month behind where they wanted to be.
Is there any reason why they're a month behind?
Back and forth between the attorneys and the engineers, and what do you think, Dave? Would you?
100% on them.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's been in there, no, seriously.
No, my comment to Tricia, because she's been very dutifully checking up on this and where are we on these agreements, and it's been in their court, and I have said, you know, once again, we're not the ones asking to move the pipeline, they are. But I think it's reasonable to go ahead and do 2 readings tonight.
Yeah, USDI is anxious to get the supplies ordered.
So we haven't ordered any of the supplies or materials because we didn't want to do that until they were on paper with us having to pay for those materials.
Okay. So, Dave, go.
Bill number 2026-12 for second reading, an ordinance to approve a construction and reimbursement agreement for pipeline relocation by and between Spade Property Owner LLC and the city of Hermann, Missouri.
Do I have a motion for the second reading?
Make a motion, bill number 2026-12, second read.
Have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Next is bill number 2026-13, an ordinance to approve an agreement between the city of Hermann, Missouri and Utility Safety and Design, Inc. for pipeline relocation.
I make a motion that we approve first read 2026-13.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to place bill number 2026-13 on first reading. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And I'm assuming we have to do the second reading on that one too.
Okay. Bill number 2026-13 for second reading, an ordinance to approve an agreement between the city of Hermann, Missouri and Utility Safety and Design, Inc. for pipeline relocation.
Do I have a motion to place it on the second reading?
I'll make a motion to approve bill number 2026-13.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Now, we don't want two motions. The first item are the minutes. Does anybody have any corrections, changes regarding the minutes? If not, I will entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The next item of business is invoices for payment. Do I have any questions regarding the invoices?
I move we pay the bills.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the bills. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Now we're hiring Colt Whithouse as Youth League basketball referee. He'd be a good one. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Colt. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And we're appointing Laura Schulte to the Tourism Commission. Is she a new person on the tourism?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Laura for the Tourism Commission. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And we're approving the low bid of $15,900 from Break, is it Tree Service for electric right-of-way work in the industrial park?
Correct.
Is this the area behind Hop Incorporated, that line that goes there?
Yeah, it goes north from Hop over to the old First Bank data center, over the bluff.
Okay. And they're just clearing out the trees, correct?
Yep.
I did notice in here they were going to put some sprouts or some of the, I guess, trees they were gonna put on the east side. They're not removing all of, we're putting brush on the east side. Why?
Well, we do that in a lot of the outside of the, kind of the outside of the box easements. I talked to Jim, I think it's actually supposed to be the west side, but Jim's filling that entire lot. So Jim said as long as we just kind of lay that stuff in there, and it was the same way with the bid for the only other bid we got, Shade Tree. They were just gonna cut it up and leave it on the ground. We do that in the other easements as far as the sprout stuff. We'll just push that in piles, make rabbit habitat, things like that with it.
They don't shred it? They're not shredding it?
No, that would be, we don't have the money for that. Trying to get that stuff out of that hole is gonna be next to impossible. We would have to get cranes, it would be, that line is in an extraordinarily bad
Yeah,
spot.
it is in a bad spot.
And
But is that gonna make that whole area look worse than probably what it
I
looks?
can't
now?
imagine it could look worse than it does right now.
Well, I know, but
I don't see how it would, and regardless, it's in our easement, so I mean, we can leave, I mean, that's the same thing co-ops or anybody, you know, they'll leave the small brush piled up along the edge of their right of way when it's not, conducive to get it out of there.
Okay.
There's no real means of getting to it without crossing other properties is the problem. There's a giant ravine there and there's just no way to get it done.
Okay, any other questions from the board? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the industrial park tree clearing.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to have the gentleman tree service for $15,900 for the industrial park. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Now we're going to approve a bid for $14,530 from Fletcher Reinhardt for transformers. Is this for 3 transformers, Jesse?
Correct.
Are we replacing any ones that we're going to be using?
Yeah, so we've got 3 in stock for the same project, and this is just to replace those out of our inventory.
Okay. And this is not the low bid, but it's, what, $690 some dollars?
Yeah, I think it's like $692,
More.
something like that. But it's a Missouri-based plant. The other plant is gonna be out of Arkansas. And I can't swear to it that anyone currently works at that plant that's local, but I know at least 2 years ago there were local people working there, so. I've kind of made a habit of doing that, same thing with, I think it's CG out of Washington. If they are really close on their transformer bids, I try to stick with local companies where I know locals are working.
Do we have to pay for, does this include delivery or
I mean,
is that an extra charge?
typically Fletcher delivers everything. I've never got a bill from them for that, so.
I just didn't see it on here. I was curious. Anybody have any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the bid from Fletcher Reinhardt. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Now we're looking for a caterer's permit for Adam Pota Winery for the My Fest for Schiller Street, May 16, 2026.
I make a motion to approve.
Okay. All righty, I have a motion and a second to approve the caterer's permit. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. The festival event for the Russian Palace Club.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for the festival application for the Russian Palace Club for October 10th and 11th, 2016. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. You have reports here that are attached. I'm not sure if any of you have any questions regarding any of the information that's in the reports. If you do, let us know. Nothing else to report? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you, President Board of Aldermen.
Glad you should come in.
You did right.